If you're a bass player that wants to stop relying on your pick and instead develop a fast, accurate and consistent fingerstyle technique, then you need to know the following 3 things. Whilst I was researching this video, I studied the technique of some of the best bass players in the world, and what I found was that nearly all of them use these 3 things to build incredible speed into their technique. So in this video, I'm going to show you what these 3 things are, how they'll stop you getting playing pains, and how learning them will make your bass playing 10 times faster. So what's the first thing you need to know? Well, if you've tried playing with your fingers before, what you've probably found out is that it's really easy to pick up a lot of muscle tension and pain very, very quickly. Now, this could be tension in your wrists, sometimes it's in your neck and your shoulders, or maybe even this little thumb joint here, and getting all these aches and pains can really suck. I mean, it's no wonder that quite a few bass players will actually favor using something like a pick over their fingers for this very reason. However, avoiding aches and pains isn't a reason to completely neglect your fingers and just use a pick. So if you want to learn how to play with your fingers and avoid getting all the usual aches and pains, here's what you need to do. Stand up straight and then put your bass on like this. Then bring your hands up to their usual playing positions. Now, it's at exactly this point that so many bass players make a lot of mistakes. They do things like using their hands to hold up the weight of the bass by pushing up like this or pushing down with this arm like that. A lot of them will play with a bent wrist like this, which is really bad, or they'll slouch forward like this and put a lot of strain on their back. And needless to say, none of these postures are natural for the body, which is why when you do them, it tenses up and leads to a lot of injury right away. What you want to do, whether you stand or you sit, is you want to try and use all your muscles on your back to hold you upright when you play the bass. So the muscles on your back can hold you up and be strong and sturdy, but all the ones on your front can relax completely and then play the bass with a lot less effort. Complete relaxation is key if you want to develop a lot of speed. And that is why the first secret of a fast fingerstyle technique is keeping your body, arms and hands in a natural position. But does simply relaxing more mean that all of a sudden you're going to become a really fast player? No. This is just the first step. If you want to build real speed, you need to do the second thing on this list. So what's the second thing? Well, when you've tried playing with your fingers before, you've likely found that a really big problem is actually getting blisters on the ends of your fingers. Now, not only is getting blisters painful, but in order to let them heal, it often means you need to take quite a long break from playing. Hang on a minute though, what has getting blisters got to do with building a fast fingerstyle technique? Well, getting blisters is actually a symptom of bad technique rather than being a problem in and all of itself. And in fixing this particular problem, you will unlock a lot of speed. And you'll also stop getting this really annoying clicking sound when you play. So if you want to stop getting blisters, here's what you need to do. Take any exercise, bassline or riff that you already know how to play and start playing through it. For this example, I'm going to be using this G major scale exercise which descends in groups of 4s. Then, as you're playing through it, what you want to do is back off the intensity of your plucking hand by about 40%. Now, you obviously don't have to go so light that you lose all the dynamics in your playing, but you do want to be playing with a noticeably lighter touch. Now, as you do this, you'll notice a few things. You'll immediately notice that your hands relax much, much more. You'll notice that your tone is actually much fatter and broader. And because you aren't hitting the strings as hard, you get much less of that really annoying clicking sound when you play. However, you might now find that your actual overall volume is lacking a little bit. Luckily, the fix for this is really simple. To compensate for this lighter touch, you either need to turn the level of your amp up, or you need to raise the cab of your amp up so that it's closer to ear level and you can hear it better. A lighter touch in your plucking hand requires less muscle power. Less muscle power means less tension in your hand, and less tension means faster playing. So, is this all you need to know if you want to play fast? No. A light touch might help you become faster, but what you need to know next is how to make your plucking technique consistent. And most bass players can't do that because they make the following mistake. So what mistake is that? Well, when you're playing with your fingers, ideally you want it to sound like this. So this is clean, it's smooth, it's consistent, everything's got good dynamics, and everything is really cleanly articulated. but if you've had trouble playing with your fingers before, you probably haven't sounded like that. Instead, you might have sounded like this. It's not clean at all, it's messy, all the notes are really horribly articulated, and it just doesn't sound like I'm in control of anything. If you've suffered from uneven note length, poor articulation, and almost no control over your technique before, you've probably been making the mistake I was making there, which is using one finger far too much in your technique. Now, just a quick caveat here. I know people are going to jump in the comments and say, oh, what about James Jamerson? He only ever famously used one finger and he was a great bass player. Now, that is true, but it's worth pointing out he was also an incredible upright player before he picked up the electric bass, and he was also one of the greatest musicians of all time. Getting back to this lesson, if you are a mere mortal like the rest of us, what you should be aiming to do, instead of using one finger, is develop a technique that evenly splits the work between two, the index and the middle finger. This is what most professional bass players do, and it's a technique known as alternate plucking. Here is what you need to do if you want to develop this professional quality fingerstyle technique. Get yourself into your regular playing position. I'm going to stand up for this so you can see a close-up, and as you do, start playing a steady stream of 8 notes. It can be on an open D string like I'm doing here, it can be any string, any fret, doesn't matter. As you play, you need to pay attention to the order of your plucking fingers and the order in which they are playing the notes. You should aim to consistently have your fingers alternate between the index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, and so on. However, now you do have a new problem. To fully master this alternate plucking technique, you're going to need good exercises and a good practice routine to use to build the technique up. Now, to save you hours of wasted time looking around the internet, YouTube, and through magazines for a load of exercises that might not help you, I've put some exercises along with a full demonstration walkthrough and tab and notation all for you in this video up here. So click up here, watch the video, and learn one alternate plucking exercise that you need to practice every single day.